it's Shamara here with SWHR Consulting, and today we're going to talk about writing an effective job description. So before you decide to post your position out there in the world, you want to make sure that your job description can identify the best candidates for your role. In doing so, you want to make sure that your job description grabs the attention of your ideal candidate and it truly provides them with enough information to understand what you're looking for in this position. So before we dive into all of the do's and the don'ts and what you should put into your job description, let's take a look at what an actual job description means. So a job description provides the information necessary to classify the position, not the person. A job description not only describes the position's responsibility, but it sets the foundation for recruiting. As I mentioned before, you want to make sure that your job description is effective enough to find the right type of talent for your role. It helps in developing and retaining talent and also sets the stage for optimum work performance by clarifying responsibilities, expected results, and evaluating performance. So now that you understand what a job description is, let's understand what a job description should not include. So a job description should not include every detail of how and what work is performed, so that it remains useful when mirror changes occur. So instead of just putting or accurately putting all what you think the job description should have, you want to accurately reflect the duties and responsibilities of the position and produce a realistic picture of the job. In order for the answer to this question is, what does the person in this position or this role actually do? I think sometimes it's a challenge when you're putting together a job description that you want to put so much information in it that you miss the most important thing of telling us exactly what this person is going to do in this role. So you want to sit back, take an opportunity to really think about the duties and responsibilities of the position and focus on that as you put together your job description. So why is a job description important? So a job description is important because it allows for you to not only maintain and ensure legal compliance, but it also allows for you to essentially be able to identify the candidates that you're looking for with exactly what you need in that position. So it's important to help with compliance, because of course you want to make sure that there isn't any type of discriminatory language in the way that you write your job description, and it really speaks to the masses, because you want to make sure that you are an equal opportunity employer and that you're looking for the right fit and you're not looking for who you like. So I hope that kind of helps clarify the importance of a job description. But what is some of the compliance behind a job description? So say you're hiring, you're looking to make an employment decision. You may need to be required to show the qualification standards used in deciding why you chose that person in your position. And I stress this a lot to our clients anytime we're putting together a job description or they're ready to go out there and find the right fit, that we spend some time in making sure that that you're writing a job description, as I mentioned, that is compliant, and it truly shows that you made the hiring decision based on their actual skill set. A lot of times employers may make the mistake of, man, this person was so great in terms of a cultural fit, and they'll just blend right in within the organization, and they may hire that person just because of that, but not necessarily looking at the skill set that they have to offer. And when it comes to compliance and what you may be looked at when having to maybe do an audit of how you're recruiting, that's the first thing that they go to and look at. They go to and see, hey, how did you make your hiring decision? What were some of the qualifications and skill set of the person that you hired, and how do they closely align with the job description that you put out there? because that's how they will able to identify if you truly made a hiring decision based on their skill set or if you just hired them because you really like them. So you want to be careful on how you're hiring because you really want to stay compliant and follow all the EEO standards when it comes to making your hiring decision. So in order to use your job description to back up your decision, it must be prepared before advertising or interviewing for a job. Again, a job description prepared after a claim is filed will not be considered as evidence. So as I mentioned before, make sure your job description lists all the essential functions of the position and that you're looking for someone based on their skill set and their qualification versus who you like. And again, and that will save you from a lot of trouble and a lot of heartache when it comes to compliance. So let's dive into some of the categories that should be listed on your job description when you're putting them together. So first things first is the job title. That is just the name of the actual position. Classification. Is it exempt? Is it non-exempt under the Fair Labor Standards Act? You also want to make sure, and this is, optional, but I think if you're transparent with what you're looking for and what you're willing to pay for the position, it's always best to post the compensation for the role, or at least post a range, right? So that allows you to be able to decide on what you want to pay at the end based on their qualification, their experience, and things like that. But at least being upfront in the beginning allows for the person who's looking at the job to say, okay, that's within the price range or the salary range that I'll be interested in. I'm going to apply. You always want to be a little bit transparent when it comes to what you're looking for so that you're not wasting time getting people applying for the role that is not a good fit. So be as transparent as possible. So that leads to, the salary grade, the level, family range. So that's deciding on the compensation level, groups, pay ranges into which the position will be paid. And of course, again, like I said, having a minimum and a maximum pay band allows you to, decide on what you're going to pay them within the role. You also want to put the report to, so that's essentially the title of the position that the job reports to, so who they'll be reporting to. This is not necessarily something that you would be posted out. Remember, again, this is when you're writing a job description, a lot of this information, it stays internal. And you're really only going to be posting, the job title. You're going to post the salary range of the role. You're going to post if you kind of have an understanding of when you're looking to fill this position, so you can put when you're going to fill a position. And of course, some of the things that I'm going to talk about below is what you'll also add, like the summary statement of the position. So position summary, the duties and responsibilities, the experience level, the educational level, physical requirements of the role, and so forth. So we're going to go through all of that. And again, I'm going to give you the definition of it as we go through. So those are some of the things that you would post out to the public as it pertains to your job description versus what you keep internal. So as I mentioned already, you can add the date. And again, for internal purposes, you always want to write when the actual job description was created and if there has been any updates to the job description so far. So you want to monitor that and document that as well on your internal job description. Also, the purpose, summary, and objective. That again provides a high-level overview of your position. It gives you the scope of responsibilities in 3 to 4 sentences. And again, provide a basic understanding, really a bird's eye view of the role, right? And it just really, again, gives you a summary of why this position really exists. So you want to make sure that you have some type of summarized position summary of the position when you post it out, and of course internally as well. Duties and responsibilities. Here's where you get a little bit caught up in regards to the types of information that you want to put in the duties and responsibilities. As I mentioned before, you want to make sure that you are posting the actual job duties and responsibilities of the role. And I say that because a lot of times what happens is you'll see in this area, must be customer service friendly, or you also might see they might need to, or even they might have in there additional duties and responsibilities, right? So there are certain things that you want to put in here that's very clear in terms of the actual job duties, and not soft skills is where I'm getting at. Not soft skills here, because you can't measure soft skills, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that too when we talk about the minimum requirements and the preferred requirements of a role. So with duties and responsibilities, again, you want to put all the essential function of the position, the nature of the job, which would include like an explanatory phrases, which tells why, how, where, and how often the task and duties are performed. Focus on the outcome of tasks. Identify areas of direct and indirect accountabilities. Describe level and type of budgetary or financial responsibilities that this role may have. Describe the nature of contact, the people contacted, the extent to which the individual will interact with others within and outside the company, and list job duties that reflect the position requirement and ensure they are not based upon capabilities of any one individual. So as I said before, be careful of what you're putting here. It really should just focus on the actual duties and responsibilities of the role. If you wanted to add a competency, for example, if you wanted to test their knowledge of some sort, you can add this competency area within your job description. And it really is just stating the required knowledge for the role. It also helps to identify like the working knowledge, general knowledge, thorough knowledge, and comprehensive knowledge. So working knowledge is essentially, basic principles and terminologies and understanding how to solve a problem. General knowledge is really just providing a comprehension of standard situation, including knowledge of most significant aspects of the subject matter. I'm not going to go through all of these because this is something that I will share as well out once I post this video, so you can have a better understanding of what type of competencies that you would like to include on your job description, if there is any. It also talks about comprehensive knowledge, so really just mastering that subject and being able to show that in their skill set. So supervisory responsibilities. If this role does have supervisory responsibilities, you want to make sure that you add that here. And it just, again, tells them what they'll be doing within that supervisory role, whether it's hiring, disciplining, assigning work, training, evaluating performance. Those types of things would be listed in the supervisory area. And as I mentioned, we want to add the work environment as well as the physical demand of the position. So if this is a very physically demanding role, say for example, you're hiring a construction worker or something like that, you want to make sure that you put all the physical requirements in here. Even if it's an administrative assistant kind of role, there may be times where you are required to maybe pick up a box or something like that. So you want to put those requirements in the physical area as well. So if it's 50 pounds, must be able to pick up 50 pounds or something like that. You want to put those in here as well. Again, identifying the work conditions and physical demand directly affects the compliance aspect of American and Disabilities Act. So describing the type, intensity, frequency, duration of physical or mental aspects of the position is required. So here are some things to consider when you're putting together the physical requirements. So the environment, exposure to certain things, whether it be hazardous material, loud noises, any kind of physical requirements such as climbing, standing, stooping, typing. As I mentioned before, being able to pick up 10 pounds, 20 pounds, those types of things. You also want to talk a little bit about if they are required to work weekends, nights, on call, those types of things. Add them in the work environment and physical requirements of the role. If travel is required, things like that. So make sure that you always have this added into your job description as well. Again, for your internal as well as when you're posting it external candidates to see. So position type and expected work hours. I would always recommend putting this as well externally if it's a full-time, part-time type of role, what the work hours would be, if it's shifts that they may, have as well in your role. You want to put that. If overtime might be expected in the role, again, be as transparent as possible with your job description when you share it out to the masses. So required education and experience versus preferred education and experience. So this is the part that I've always loved to explain a little bit more, because this actually gets missed a lot. When I see a lot of job descriptions created out there, I see that they always have the required or minimum requirements of the role, but it's a lot of times that there isn't any preferred education experience. And I always recommend that you have both. The reason being is, as I mentioned before, in terms of compliance and being able to show how you made your hiring decision, they always reference this area. Because once you post a position with minimum requirements, you're going to get an influx of individuals that are going to meet those minimum requirements of the role, right? Now you have to decide between all those people that met the minimum requirements, why is it that you're going to choose them to move forward for maybe an interview or even to offer them the position? What made that one individual better than the rest, right? And so a lot of times what you would use to help make that decision is the preferred experience, because now you're assessing them in two areas. One, they met the minimum requirements of the role. Now, two, you're looking at the preferred experience and seeing if they have any of those things that made them better than the rest. And this again is where I always like to educate on, because again, it's always missed. You always have your minimum, but there's no preferred. And then when it comes to now defending your hiring decision, how do you go about doing that? Because yes, everyone that applied met the minimum, but now you don't have anything to show as to why you made that hiring decision for that individual that you hired. And what helps save you is the preferred experience, because now you can say, hey, they met the minimum and they also had all these great skills in the preferred, and this is the best candidate for the role because of that. So I highly recommend when you are making your creating your job description that you have both of these areas and really think through what it is that you want to add into preferred. So a good example is in your minimum requirement, you may have 1 to 3 years experience in this particular function, right? And then you might have a bachelor's degree. So everyone that applies will have either the 1 to 3 years experience and a bachelor's degree. So now you're like, okay, well, that's great. I'm happy that they have that. What is something a step further that they might have to offer? And so in your preferred experience, that's where you'll see, okay, they have 5 to 10 years experience in this particular function, and they actually have a master's degree. So that entices you more to look at that person more closely, to then decide to move them on to the interview process or even extend an offer. So again, those are some of the things that helps to differentiate between the two in terms of minimum and preferred, which can also help you in terms of being compliant in how you're making your hiring decision. I know that was a mouthful, so I do apologize if I kind of re-explained again, but I just wanted to make that section very clear when it comes to minimum requirements versus preferred. You also have the ability to add additional eligibility requirements. And so here's where you can add like certification, if there's industry specific experience that you want to see. And this again gives you some more reason to qualify them even more for the position. And you can also here in this area add some of those soft skills, things that you may like, right? Must be very pleasant, must have great customer service, those types of things you can add in this area. Because you are looking now, you're looking at the person in regards to, okay, would they be a cultural fit, and do they have some of these soft skills that I would want the person in this position to have. Again, when you look at preferred and you look at minimum requirements for the role, you're looking at things that you can actually measure, right? So you're looking at things that you can actually gauge based on their education, right? You can go and see if they do have that degree or not. Years of experience, you can actually go and look and see where they've worked and how long they've worked in those particular positions for other companies. But when it comes to soft skills, you really can't measure that, right? Is either they have it and they can show that to you once they start with you, or they don't, right? You really can't measure a person's soft skills. You really can't measure a person's smile, right? Unless they're smiling at you and they're showing you that they can smile. So you never want to put those types of things in your required or your preferred, because you can't really measure them, okay? And then at the end of every job description, you always want to put your affirmative action statement and your EEO statement as well. So what that means is you're an equal opportunity employer, and you do not discriminate in your hiring process. So you want to make sure that you add that in your job description when you post it out as well. You can also have other duties disclaimers if you wanted to add that as well. And then of course, for internal purposes, you add a signature line so that you get signatures from the individual that you hired in this role as a way of validating that you and them agree on the job duties of this position and the requirements, and that you both understand essentially what the job functions are. So I know that was a lot of information. I hope that that was helpful as it pertains to writing an effective job description. I will share this document as well when I do post this video, so that you have it as a good reference tool to be able to create your job description. And I also probably are going to give you a template to start with all of these areas already defined for you. And so all you have to do is plug and play. Again, my name is Shamara Walker, owner of SWHR Consulting. I hope you enjoyed this video today. I love to educate on what I do because I love what I do, and I want to be able to share that knowledge with the masses. You can always reach out to me if you had any additional questions or you need some help with writing an effective job description at swhrconsulting.com, or you can give us a call at 702-979-2119, or you can find us on all the social media platforms. Can't talk today. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Again, I hope you enjoyed this information and I hope that it was helpful. Thank you again.